Okay, in this video, I'm gonna go over just a real quick, brief technique for amplifying your meditation, amplifying your focus, mainly creating a amazing sleep schedule. Now, there are ways to effectively amplify these, and I'm gonna show everybody how I do it. And before I tell everybody this, first of all, by no means am I any sort of professional. There's no way I'm any sort of professional, but at the same time, um, I may have studied this type of thing more than most normal people, so I may have a specialization for it. But by no means is it my profession, or do I live off this sort of information. Like teaching people this sort of information, which a lot of people live off uh, teaching people professional information. So, just for entertainment purposes only, hopefully it can help you out and benefit you, which I think it will, as long as you follow my instructions and understand the concept and my techniques. I think you can really go far with this and really reap a lot of benefits to the effects of it. Okay, so now I want to just go over a brief story on how I've decided to come to this conclusion and how I figured this out. It was about 5 years ago, maybe even 6 years ago, that I was working a lot, and I was working all sorts of weird, basically shifts and at different times. And after so long of working such weird shifts and hours, which, I never even thought about it to be a problem, because I was the type of person where I was always watching movies or playing games a lot, right? So for me, it's like, dude, I can fucking work whenever, really. Especially when it's at night, because I was a nighttime person, and that's normally. But the thing is, I went in from late nights, or from a night shift to a late night shift to a late night shift. So it was just getting really crazy. So, and it wasn't until about 6 months of continuously ruining my sleep schedule that I started to notice what was going on and happening. Because I started to get a little bit worried, because I'm a craps dealer. I'm at the casino, and I would go on the craps table at like 2 a.m. in the morning, 3 a.m. in the morning. I'd just be standing there falling asleep and shit, because not all the time I would be dealing at 3 a.m., but sometimes I would even be dealing, and I would even be like falling asleep, shipping the dice and shit. Um, and then because we would always, when we have a stickman and a dealer on the other side, we get a lot of breaks. So every like 40 minutes or every hour, we go get a 20-minute, 30-minute break. And that's where I ruined my sleep schedule, and where I learned the secret of technique sleeping, and, amplifying your sleep by sleeping properly, and the benefits of sleeping right, or in a way that's going to work for you, because there's not really a right way to sleep, because everybody can make up their own schedule, and it depends on your own schedule. But it's a matter of how you're going to set your schedule and understand your schedule, and other small techniques to amplify your schedule selections. So what happened was, your body programs basically sleep patterns subconsciously, and basically the more you do it, the more powerful that it becomes. So you can use that in your favor, but it can work against you if you don't know that it's happening. Because the way it works is, after 6 months that I would go on break, fall asleep for like 20 minutes, go back down, go on break another hour later for 20 minutes. And then not only that, when I'm getting home, my sleep schedule is even bad then, I may even go home, not even sleep for the whole day, or maybe until noon in the morning, and then maybe only sleep a few hours, then wake up. Because that was a part of the reason I wouldn't sleep too much. Whenever some days I was kind of getting behind on everything, it's like, oh, I'll just go sleep at work, or all I need is a couple of hours of sleep. So I would just be short in my sleep, short in my sleep, short in my sleep. So finally, I was realizing, man, because I had never remembered to have any sort of problem with sleep like that, to that magnitude, to where I was like becoming like kind of narcoleptic and shit to a really extreme level. So that's when I went on the internet and was like, okay, you know what? I'm starting to think maybe there's something about like sleeping schedules and techniques, and maybe there's something I could work with, because I didn't think it was very important when I first. It, it never crossed my mind. So then I learned about all these techniques about sleep schedules, and how there are different schedules you can do. Like there was a schedule that I could have done that was like the one that I was doing, where I would go to sleep, wake up, go to sleep, wake up. But it's more geared for and designed towards like sports people that are like basically gonna be. I think they use as an example like a canoeer, like someone who is gonna be canoeing. What they would do is like have a different sleep schedule to where they're almost able to sleep and be awake all day, because they can just go to sleep for 1 hour, wake up, or whatever it was. So they were saying, well, it's not really too beneficial to use this type of sleep pattern, because it could have a lot of downfalls to it. But the benefits of it is you're basically able to stay awake almost 24/7, almost just about. And then they were also revealing how your average number of hours of sleep you want to get between, I think they were saying, between 7 to 9 hours of sleep. You can easily go look that information up, so I'm not worried about getting that sort of information in this, when that's something you can type on Google. What's the recommended hours of sleep? They're going to say 7 hours, 8 hours, whatever. It's not a big mystery. And plus, find out what hours work best for you. So anyway, we're going to get into the techniques, since now you guys know the background of the story. So anyway, I thought I was narcoleptic. They were saying, try to correct your sleep schedule. You want to sleep all at one time, because if you are going to sleep off and on, you're going to basically program your sleep schedule like that, and your body is subconsciously going to be remembering that type of thing. So yeah, that's a big no-no when you're on the other sort of sleep schedule, which I expect most people to go with the more average sleep schedule: sleep all at once, wake up. Um, so let me reveal the way this works. And so yeah, the good news is after I did all the sleep research, and I started correcting my sleep, and not neglecting my sleep as much, it took a little while, because there was a time when I was all thinking, man, maybe I am narcoleptic, because it wasn't really going away, and I was like getting kind of worried. It's like, oh my god, it's not going away. But it literally took me like a month or two, and then after a month, I noticed like, oh my god, it's like fucking gone, or it's going away, and it's fixing. And then it was about 2, 3, 4 months later that everything was like right back on track. And it's like, oh my god, thank god, because I was like thinking I had a sleeping disorder, and I thought it was narcoleptic, and I thought it was like gonna be getting serious. So it's like, oh shit. And then that's when it dawned on me, like the exploitation that I could use behind it, on what I'm gonna do, and how it works, and what happens, and what happened. Okay, and then so basically, here's my techniques to amplify the results. So once you get a general idea of what hours you would find best for you to sleep without any interruption, find that those are the hours you're looking for. So you want to do, I think it was, I like to do like 8 or 10, but I think when I get on a really good schedule, like 8 hours is plenty. Even 7 may be enough, depending if I feel like getting extra sleep. So, anyway, figure out when you're trying to go to bed. So, let's say you're theoretically going to be gunning for 8 hours of pure sleep, uninterrupted sleep. That's the secret. You got to make sure that you make sure that it's uninterrupted. So, when you're going to bed, make sure you don't need to get back up. You don't need to turn the lights off. You don't need to turn the TV off. You don't need to turn the fan off. You don't need to go to the bathroom. You don't need to go brush your teeth. You don't need to go answer the door. Whatever it may be. When you're going to be going to bed, make sure that you want to be, when you're expecting and planning to go to bed, you're basically going to bed right at just before, like, basically, if you're planning on going to bed at 12, you should basically start getting tired right at 12 and be pre going to bed, like already falling asleep right at that time. Like, you should already feel yourself getting tired. That's rule number one. That's when you know that your sleep schedule is getting really tight and lined up where you want it, because when you need to go to bed, you want to automatically go to bed. You should automatically be tired at the time you're planning on going to bed. And that's why you got to be planning on going to bed, because when that time comes, you should be that your timer on your sleep schedule should be programmed to, like, taking you under. So that's when you know that you're really, because the stronger you can get yourself to instantly just go right to bed. Let's say that you're planning on going to bed at 12. You're automatically starting to get tired because you're programming your sleep schedule as good as you can to make it as to have as much focus and rest as possible. Plus, it's healthy in so many ways to get very healthy rest, because your body can self-heal through the deeper levels of sleep. So you want to make sure you sleep as well as possible. So maybe even throw on meditation music too, like rain music, beach music, whatever, anything like that. That's relaxing. That's going to be able to keep your mind clear. That's the main thing, is when you're going to bed, make sure your mind is clear so that you have no interruptions and you just basically fall right asleep. Now, best case scenario is like right around 12, come around, you're like starting to fall asleep, you go jump in bed, it's 12:10, maybe, you're doing your last couple things, but you're already so tired. Oh, I got it, I'm jumping in bed, I'm going to bed. You jump in bed at 12:10, by 12:30 you're already really falling asleep. You can barely keep your eyes open. 12:40, so by 1 o'clock you should be like, boom, completely falling asleep. And like I say, it's not like it's got to be perfect, but we're just giving you a reference of what's going to be when you know that it's really lined up really good, and you know that you got it where you want it, what is going to be most beneficial. So if at that point when you go to bed and you enter deep sleep at, let's say, 1, and you're able to all the way go to sleep and not wake up, and let's say you wake up right at 8 or 8:30ish, and then that's exactly when you wake up, or maybe even an hour before, that's not so bad. But the closer you can get to your targeted number of hours, the better. And all you need to do is, it just takes training. So if you really want to get really crazy with it, you just need to really target in on the zones and the moments that you're entering into deep sleep, because your brain is still reprogramming itself from going to bed and waking up, and it's gonna subconsciously go into wake up mode even in times that you're sleeping, and that's where it's your duty to reprogram that to go off, to stay off. So your job is to go into deep sleep on this pattern as often as possible, and to basically engrave it into your cycle and your operation. so that it naturally just occurs and just starts happening. Because it's like lifting weights. The more you keep doing it, the easier it gets, the stronger you get, the more that the cycle is actually the cycle. And here's some good techniques to amplify this. So let's say you're like a normal person, maybe you have a little bit of trouble getting to sleep because your sleep schedule is so off, which mine gets thrown off so much all the time because I'm staying up an extra hour late. I'm staying up 3 hours extra late. That's where your sleep schedule is going to get destroyed and you're going to have to restart and start working on it again. Is when you're not disciplined enough to go to bed and you're staying up for that extra hour, that extra two, because the more you keep doing it, it's just going to keep adding on and then bogging down the system, making it worse, making it worse, making it worse. And before you know it, if you just keep adding on to it, you're going to be at a point where you can't even go to bed till 3 hours, 4 hours past the normal time of what you were trying to go to bed. And if you don't fix the problem, it's eventually just going to maybe go to 5, 6, maybe even more. So what you do is, what I recommend, I'm sure there's all sorts of different things you could do, but I recommend like a sleeping pill, like out of Family Dollar, a general sleeping aid, a sleeping relief, or whatever they call it. You know, take that about an hour before you're planning on programming your sleep schedule, and what'll happen is you'll naturally really get tired at the time that you're targeting to go to bed. And at that point, you can really begin to start training, because you have to train your 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 basically, what is the word, consciousness, to automatically do it. So the first time you do it, it's going to be a little bit rugged, and it's not going to be. You may find yourself to just only get into a deep sleep for maybe 2 hours or 4 hours, and then you wake up and you're like, can't go back to bed, which is fine. Okay, so here's the secret. So maybe that first night you take your sleeping pill and you only get like 4 hours of sleep and you wake up because you're not used to going to bed that early. So that's the reason that sleep. So the thing is, you get that 4 hours, that's the start of training. So granted, you wake up in 4 hours. Let's say that you stay up for an hour or two, and then you find yourself to be tired again, because it's undoubtedly going to happen in waves. It's going to go off and on because you're retraining your sleep schedule to go off and on. So your sleep schedule is already going off and on. So that's why when you wake up early, that 3 hours in, 4 hours in, you know, write it out, play it out, it won't be long before you're right back to where you were, and you're going to realize, man, I'm just as tired as I was just a minute ago, because your sleep schedule is going in through chaotic phases and it's going off and on. So what happens is, about an hour later, 2 hours later, you can get back to sleep for another 2 or 3 hours or 4 hours. So you basically fall asleep in two different patterns, two different waves. So then when you wake up, now you're a lot more energized, but you still sacrifice that, waking up for 2 hours when you could have just slept for 2 hours straight, and it would have been a little bit more beneficial. So you'll notice that when you have that sort of pattern, you'll be a little bit less energetic and less motivated, and you won't have as much energy. But I mean, if you're getting sleep like that, you'll feel pretty energetic, and you'll have plenty of energy to do just about anything you really need to. So that's the first day. So let's say after the first week, let's say, yeah, about a week. Do the same thing for about a week of going to sleep. You'll notice by the end of the week, when you're doing that, right before 12 even comes up, and before you even take the sleeping pills, you'll notice that you'll automatically start entering into that sleep phase and sleep mode. Okay, because you're already being trained. And it's sensitive because it's like if you have to stick to it for it to start actually happening. And if you ruin the sleep schedule even just a little bit, it'll easily throw it off real quick. You can throw your sleep schedule off way faster than you can put it back on, basically, is what I'm saying. Okay, so after a week, you should be at a point where, okay, I'm taking these sleeping pills, and now the entire time you go to bed, you're probably going to sleep the entire time, or nearly. So, when you first did it for that first day, you woke up in about 3 hours, 4 hours. Okay, now by the end of the week, you're sleeping for the whole 7 hours, 8 hours. Bingo. As soon as you do that one time, you want to make sure you can do it again and again and again because it's going to get more and more powerful. It like charges up into like almost a superpower. So basically, you don't want to use sleeping pills for very long. You want to use it as minimal as possible because you want to be able to use it as a tool to 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 aid you and like basically fix the problem. So now you fix the problem to where, oh, I can't get to sleep. Okay, well, now you've trained yourself to start going to sleep. At that point, when you've already got the whole 7 hours, that's when your body is you're not going to need sleeping pills to for aid in training. That's for training purposes because now after it's trained, you're automatically going to do it. You don't need to. Of course, granted, you could still maybe take some more just to make it amplify it and make it more powerful. That's your choice. But I like to use as little as possible so that I can make sure that I keep my resistances to the pill as low as possible because it's like if I'm trying to go to bed, I want to make sure if I take a pill that I go to bed, if you're taking a sleeping pill every single day for every day of the year, they're going to reach a point where it isn't going to do anything. And that's the whole point of being able to say, "Hey, I need to use this pill." And it's just like basically jump starting a car. Your battery's dead. As soon as your battery's charged, make sure your battery doesn't go dead again. As long as you don't let your battery go dead, you don't need to keep jump starting it. And that's all it is when you're using your sleeping pills is jump starting your battery, getting your battery charged. As soon as your battery's charged, you're good to go. Okay, my battery's charged. Now, that's how you amplify the sleeping side. Now, remember, you're trying to train your body to go to bed and wake up. So why would you stop by just training yourself to go to bed with the sleeping pill and not training yourself to wake up with coffee or something that's designed to wake you up, which I don't necessarily recommend in energy drinks because they're unhealthy and whatnot, but if you're going to use it as a jump start and you're only going to do it for 2 days, 4 days out of the year, by all means, what's it going to hurt to drink an energy drink 3, 4 times or once 1 week out of the year to train your body to wake up? So what you do, what I like to do is I'll drink an energy drink right when I wake up, immediately, as soon as you wake up. And even work out, but I work out all the time because I'm starting to work out as much as I can. Because the whole point of drinking an energy drink is not for the whole fact that, oh, I'm worried about my health, because of course it's not very healthy. It's just a matter of you're immediately training your body to, okay, as soon as I wake up, I want to be alert. I want to be awake. I don't want to go back to bed. Because you're training your body to be awake, to stay awake until you're planning on going back to bed. So it's a matter of putting, amplifying it on both sides. So you potentially drink that energy drink and you're training your body to automatically wake up, become active, be alert. Because if you become alert and active at those times, your body remembers what times you're active and alert. So if if you just go to bed at the time you're trying to be awake and alert, you're gonna program yourself to go to bed at that time, and that's why people can't get themselves on a powerful schedules. They don't realize that when you're doing it, you got to really go strike it on both sides as hard as you can, and you need to try to basically last as long as you can. Like, for example, when you're going to bed, you need to try to sleep for as long as you can. At one during one session. We're not talking about going to bed for 4 hours and then waking up, going to bed for 5 hours, waking up, and then going to bed for another 4 hours, sleeping as much as you can. That is not doing it effectively. Okay, so your goal is to make sure you can do it all in one sitting. Boom. So when you're waking up, your goal is, and you're trying to fight against the urge, because your subconscious body is, you're going to find a time when you're training your sleep schedule to wake up and go to bed, that when you're trying to be awake, your body's trying to like fall asleep, because your body's programmed based on previous cycles that you've been doing. So you're naturally going to wake up, all of a sudden have all this energy, and then when you're just training your schedule, you're going to have ways where you're just kind of like ready to fall asleep and like, man, I can't. And then, maybe an hour later, all of a sudden you're up and ready to go, because, dude, your sleep schedule cycles over off and on. So what happens is, let's say you wake up, you drink your energy drink, you go do a 10-minute workout, 30-minute workout, whatever it may be. Boom, your blood's pumping, you're good to go for the rest of the day, drinking water. Now you can deal with that potential crash that you're going to have a lot better, because let's say that you didn't drink your energy drink, you're normally going to really be bogged down and really be tired, so you're kind of cheating. It's kind of like cheating. So the goal is, hopefully you can get through and reprogram over those times where your body's like trying to fall asleep. That's the point of drinking the energy drink, is to try to override your body from just trying to say, hey, I need to get to bed, I need sleep. So more often than not, if you don't drink energy drinks, when you drink that, or even coffee, if you don't drink a lot of coffee, that's why I don't drink very much coffee. I don't drink very many energy drinks, for the simple purpose of, when I drink it, I'm using it for a purpose. There's a purpose. I'm trying to train my sleep. Okay, so when granted, sometimes I kind of drink energy drinks just to drink them, but it's because I don't drink them too often, and sometimes, I just like them, and I can still kind of use the technique still if, I don't really need to use the technique. So it's about balance. So anyway, let's say you do that for a week of taking the sleeping pills and then drinking your coffee or energy drink or whatever it is that could potentially wake you up. Granted, hopefully it's something healthy. I mean, God, when you're doing this to create healthiness, don't go doing something that's unhealthy to contradict and go against the whole purpose of becoming more healthy. Because it's like, dude, if you need to get sleep, you got to get sleep. And if you need to be awake, you need to be awake, and it's gonna be both sides. You can't neglect one side or the other. It's like you're gonna need to be sleeping at half the time, just about, and be awake half the time. Okay, and that's it. I mean, after a week of doing that, hitting it on both sides, you'll notice that, boom, as soon as you take away basically the training wheels, okay, pull the training wheels off, you're riding, you're good to go. Your schedule is basically assisting you and aiding you, because it's automatically doing what you have trained it to do, which is the power of the mind. And now, lo and behold, you don't even take your sleeping pill, as long as you are able to properly keep your sleeping schedule aided and properly taken care of. Granted, you're not going to go damaging it and staying up longer than you need to be, or sleeping shorter or longer than you need to be, then everything should just continue to keep combusting as if it's, you jumped your battery. Once you jump your battery and the battery's charged, just make sure that you don't let your battery go dead. And if your battery ever goes dead, just recharge it and don't let your battery go dead. And and like I say, it's you should be able to have, so well, you will. I mean, there's no question about it. I mean, granted that there isn't some sort of sleeping disorder that somebody has, which is people are known to have, and that's different. This is for someone who actually doesn't have a sleeping disorder and can, basically sleep for the most part regularly. Okay. All right, and good luck with that. So the whole principle of the concept is try to fight your urges of taking a nap in the middle of the day, or keep it to a minimum, especially if you're just repairing. If you're repairing your sleep schedule, you can afford to take a sacrifice of, oh, I'll take a nap in the day for, let's say, 30 minutes. Okay, well, limit yourself, take a nap for 30 minutes for that one day. The next day, limit yourself. Okay, well, you took a 30-minute nap yesterday, only take a 20-minute nap today, because you're trying to get it out of your cycle. You don't want it to get any worse than it already is. So that next day, you're going to say, okay, well, I'm only going to do 20, and the next day, oh, I'm only going to do 10, and the next day, oh, I'm only going to do 5. Oh, the next day, I'm not going to go to take a nap. And that's where you're able to correct the problem areas of your sleep schedule, is when you're not supposed to be going to sleep. That's when you got to, like, retrain that moment and that part of your cycle to not go to sleep by not going to sleep. That's the hard part. So it's a matter of kind of like hammering, forging steel, on a, what do they call that? A freaking the blacksmith iron, forging. It's just one little freaking smack at a time, but eventually, so many smacks, you're gonna have a freaking razor sharp sword. So all you gotta keep doing is just keep perfecting it and training it. It's about training. Just keep training it more and more, and eventually you should be able to enter into super states of sleep and consciousness and focusedness. And dude, it's amazing, because you'll find that, man, you've never had more energy in your life. It's feels great being able to go to bed no problem. Feels great being able to stay awake no problem. Feels great being able to have more energy than I feel like I even need. Okay. All right. Well, that's my technique for sleep schedules and sleep meditation techniques there. Good luck with that.